Hey Sainers, welcome back to the Saints TV YouTube channel. In this video, we are going to be dissecting the numbers behind St Kilda's astonishing running capacity and why, when Ross Lyon was first brought back to Moorabbin, that was the first thing he said. The first thing he identified as a key strength was...
I know we can run, right? So the running game's here, and it's here to stay.
And that was without Ross being in the inner sanctum. He already knew the players could run. And another person that mentioned something was yesterday, Jack Macrae. The club did a really good video of his training session. And right at the end of it, he said this.
Yeah, it's a little bit different. It's, I'm not used to putting the runners on at the end and changing that up, but it's something probably that can add to my game as well. And yeah, it's a bit different, but it's been enjoyable so far.
And he's not the first player to say that. We've seen that, I think, Paddy Dow. We've seen that with a number of other players where they've mentioned that St Kilda's training regime is very heavily focused on running and endurance, and it's some of the toughest training sessions they've ever experienced. And I believe today they did the beep test as well. Brad Hill took it out. Filippo finished strongly. Garcia was among them. Hasty. So the club is always looking to build on that running power that they think is the focus for the future of the AFL. And I've got reasons as to why I think we are targeting that area, why we are so strong. And I've got some insane numbers behind season 2024 on just how good we were in that area. Now, it doesn't always translate to wins, but it gives you a chance. And I think that having a very specific strength like this that can be translatable across so many different facets of the game is going to be hugely beneficial moving forward. We might be the trendsetters in this area. Based on what I've seen, based on the research I've done for this video, it looks like we're not playing around when it comes to running and running teams off the field. So let's get into my reasons as to why the resurgence of the running game in the AFL has kind of taken place recently. Maybe since you go back to Collingwood, you go back to Geelong 2022, 2021, where they started to really take the game on a little bit more and they won their flag because of it. Collingwood won their flag in 23. Brisbane, Sydney, this year as well. Really strong running teams. And then obviously us slowly building to that level. But these are key reasons as to why. So number one, rule changes favouring the open play. So we've seen the stand rule and the 6-6 rule come into play at centre bounces. To me, that creates more space, less congestion, and allowing the running players in particular, not just the contested beasts, but the running players to break lines more effectively. There's more space, more opportunity to take the game on. Obviously, the reduction in interchanges as well has increased fatigue, opening opportunities for those elite runners. So more fatigue for some players, more opportunity to exploit for elite runners like a Darcy Wilson, like a Brad Hill, like a Ronnie Burns. That's why you see some of these players for St Kilda start to really get going in the back end of games. And if you look at some of our best wins this season, they were after half-time. We took the game on, we ran teams off the field, and we completely turned over some margins that maybe in other years, with a different type of St Kilda team, might not have been attainable. Number two, the evolution of player fitness. Players, you look back to the early 90s, early 2000s, there's no more sitting in the goal square. There's no more just doing one job. You've got to do multiple things. The modern AFL player is fitter, faster, and more endurance-focused than ever before, enabling them to cover much vaster distances and maintaining intensity. So it's not just, and we'll talk about what St Kilda have done this year in some records, but it's not just covering a lot of distance, it's covering a lot of distance at high speed, at a high rate for a longer period. Midfielders like Nick Dacos, Bond have done it. You look at a lot of the hybrid Sydney midfielders, they're all running beasts. They can all go forward and impact the scoreboard. That's the modern type of football. It's not just your big contested beast anymore. They've got to be a bit more of a hybrid now. Number three, transition and rebound play. Teams are prioritising fast transitions off halfback to the forward line, and that means running players like a Travalia, these types of Nasiah, Sinclair, they're not They're not your born defenders. They are running, handball receives. Nick Blakey, look at him for Sydney. A lot of teams have adapted this type of halfback flanker now, the running, speedy type, because transition is such an important focus in AFL football now. Number 4, high pressure, high speed tactics. Modern AFL tactics now emphasize the relentless pressure focus and high-speed ball movement, favouring players with exceptional running ability to close gaps, chase, corral, and counterattack. Number 5, impact of wingers and halfbacks. We've talked about halfbacks, but we'll quickly go over wingers. Look at Mason Wood. He's not just sitting on a wing, he's going forward and impacting the scoreboard. He's having to run back and take intercept marks to become basically another third or fourth tall in the back line. They need to be able to do it all, and that means running, and running. There's a decline in the bomb and hope strategies, thank God, because we know we've been prone to doing that for so long. Teams are moving away from that indiscriminate long kick and opting instead for controlled ball use that often involves player running into space and providing options. It's continual leads. It's not just bomb it to a pack, and trust me, we all know that frustration, but it's more pinpoint, handball receives, and finding that little gap. And to do that, you need to be able to run and create space for your teammates. And lucky last, success of running dominant teams. Teams utilizing running games effectively. You look at Melbourne in 2021, Collingwood in 2023. I'd say Brisbane, Sydney this year, Geelong 2022. Who's going to be the next one to really take it to that next level, to be just that next step ahead of their opponent every single minute of a game? Could it be St Kilda? I've got some reasons why it might be. But that's just to preface what St Kilda has done in 2024. Obviously, we didn't make finals, we didn't win a flag, so I'm not saying this is the bench, this is the blueprint of a successful team, but you just know this is the way football's going, and these aren't anomalies, you know what I mean? It's consistent across the board for St Kilda what they've done. So most clubs, as just a first point, most clubs do 2K time trials in the preseason. St Kilda do 3. So we're already trying to go a step ahead in just that very small facet of training, but we've done that. We've just done the beep test today. And we also end training like Jack Macrae alluded to. We finish training sessions. We'll go on 2 hours, we'll do match sim, then we finish with running. We do it at the end, not at the start like a lot of other teams. We do it when we're gassed, not when we're fresh, because it's important at the end of a third quarter, fourth quarter, to be able to go to that next gear. And to do that, you need to already be feeling the fatigue and almost ready to stop. But that's when you need to have that extra gear to go to change a game when it might be getting away from you. So I've gone through the Telstra tracker of the last season, and this is what I found. So just hopefully enjoyed this sort of stuff, but I just wanted to go a bit nerdy for this video. I'm going to go through every game, and I'm going to tell you whether we won the distance covered or the more sprints effort. So we'll go through this very quickly. Round 1, more distance, more sprint. Round 2, equal distance, more sprints. Round 3, less distance, more sprints. Round 4, more distance, less sprints. Round 5, more distance, about 60% more sprints. Round 6, more distance, more sprints. Round 7, more distance, more sprints. Round 8, more distance, way more sprints. Round 9, less distance, more sprints. Round 10, less distance, more sprints. Round 11, less distance, way more sprints, like 70 more sprints. Round 12, more distance, more sprints. Round 13, less distance, way more sprints, like 60 more sprints in that game. Round 14, bye. Now this is after the bye. This is ridiculous. Every game for the rest of the season, we won the distance and we won the sprints. And in 3 of them, we won the sprint efforts by over 70. That's a staggering margin. We won round 17, we won the game, 74 more sprint efforts. Round 20, 71 more sprint efforts. Round 21, 70 more sprint efforts. So totals, more distance, 18 times in the entire season. We ran the most. And in more sprint efforts, 22 times. In the entire season, we won the sprint efforts. Combined, 17 times we won both sprint efforts and distance covered. Now, distance at high speed is distance covered by all players in the team by above 18 kilometers per hour, which indicates the amount of high speed running. St Kilda broke the all-time record this season against Geelong, averaging 52.1 kilometers per hour. And then we had round 5, round 22, round 6, 17, 11, all rounding out in the top 25 records. So we had 5 of the top 25 records ever tracked, all in season 2024, which is just crazy. On top of that, distance at high speed as a team, we won every single week. We didn't lose. We didn't lose distance at high speed. I thought that was staggering. I thought at least one game. We won it every single week. We only lost repeat sprint efforts across season 5 times, all marginally, but when we won it by maybe double. So when we lost by maybe 1 or 2 sprints, but when we won, it was like 19-40, 18-35. It was always double or around that margin. It was quite significant. Lastly, Darcy Wilson covered most distance at high speed in the competition and was only topped 3 times in the entire season. Out of every game he played, only 3 times, either a St Kilda or the opposition beat him. That's nuts. 9 of his efforts from season 2020, his debut season, by the way, are recorded in the top 25 ever recorded. Tom Scully also has 9 in the top 25. So Tom Scully and Darcy Wilson make up 18 of the top 25 most distance at high speed records ever recorded. That's absolutely nuts. And this to me is, Ross not just saying, I know a lot of people think every team can run, every team's fit. But based on what I have just told you, St Kilda is on a different level at the moment. The fact that we didn't lose, we won more distance and more sprint acts across the competition. You look at the types of players we are drafting now with Travalia, with Wilson, Filippo starting to build his tank. Garcia's got a great tank. Brad Hill, Mason Wood, Ronnie Burns. On top of what type of football will give you the best chance of winning a flag, and based on my points that I mentioned at the very top, St Kilda is absolutely focused on making the most out of the way football is being played. Less interchanges, more space, 6-6-6, stand rule, the hybrid wingman. We want our players to be able to do it all. The proof is in the pudding there, Sainers. I mean, some games, yes, we won the distance and won the sprint efforts, but we lost, yes. But the loss was more to do with execution than it was to do with effort at any point of the season. Because we've been running, we've been chasing, we've been sprinting. You can say we can cover the most distance, but at a low speed. But the fact that we've covered the distance at high speed more than every team in the competition means the effort is there. They are chasing, they are running, they are creating space. It's all, at the end of the day, about execution and your mentality on hitting that target, on backing your teammate. And I think we're getting to that point now where once the execution starts taking care of itself, on top of the clear fitness advantage we have over the competition, we're going to start seeing some big wins. And we saw that at the back end. We didn't lose distance or sprints at all in the back end. And we won, 8 of our last 11 or something like that. What's 2025 got in store? That's all I got to say. What I look at here is a clear style, a clear strategy, and we've clearly drafted to that end to get players in that can execute it long term. And it makes me very, very excited, Sainers. So I went a bit nerdy. I wanted to go through and because we talk about us being a running team, right? Everyone talks about it. St Kilda's a great running team. I've said it many times on the channel. Ross says it. The coaches, the players say it. You hear it all the time. But I haven't really looked at the numbers, the sheer numbers on the individuals that have dominated, but also collectively as a team, how much better we are compared to the rest of the competition in that space. And it only looks like it's going to get better. So that's clearly something a lot of teams are chasing, but right now it looks like we are the benchmark in terms of that area. We just need to get there's that little bit of execution and strategy right, but overall, when it comes to utilizing where the game is going, I think we are absolutely in the right direction. So, bit of a long one this morning, Sainers, but hopefully you enjoyed it. I just wanted to focus on our key strength that everyone talks about, but maybe we haven't delved into it to this level, and I wanted to go a little bit more in detail for you there. So if you appreciated it, please like, please comment, and obviously subscribe. I really appreciate it. We're nearly on 12,000, only about 140 or so to go. So if there's any of you watching right now and you enjoyed this sort of nerdy analysis, let me know in the comments if you want more of this stuff, and obviously subscribe if you haven't already. So on that note, Sainers, take care, enjoy the rest of your week, and as always, go you mighty Sainers. See you guys.